I want to talk about Julian Assange, you guys. This is a story that, every time I cover it, I feel like I end up saying, like, I should cover it more. And I wish that in even independent outlets, I wish that this was covered more because it is such a critically important story. This is in The Guardian. UK court approves extradition of Julian Assange to the United States. Home Secretary to decide whether WikiLeaks founder will be extradited to U.S. on espionage charges. A court has formally approved the extradition of Julian Assange to the U.S. on espionage charges in what will ultimately be a decision for the UK Home Secretary, Priti Patel. The WikiLeaks co-founder, who has the right of appeal, appeared by video link during the Westminster Magistrates Court hearing, which one of his barristers described as a brief but significant moment in the case. Mark Summers for Assange told the chief magistrate that he had no option but to send the case to the Home Secretary. It was not open at this point for Assange's team to raise fresh evidence, but there had been fresh developments, he added. Summers said serious submissions would be made to the Home Secretary regarding sentencing and other matters. The brief hearing was taking place after the Supreme Court last month refused Assange's appeal against his extradition. He had sought to challenge a judgment by the High Court in December that ruled he could be extradited after assurances from the U.S. authorities with regard to his prison conditions there. An extradition order was issued by the chief magistrate, Paul Goldspring, during the 7-minute hearing. Goldspring told Assange, quote, "In layman's terms, I am duty-bound to send your case to the Secretary of State for a decision. As well as being able to make submissions to Patel, Assange's lawyers can also access other routes to fight this extradition. This could include mounting a challenge on other issues of law raised at first instance on which he lost and have not been subject to appeal." Assange, wearing a jacket and tie, appeared via video link from Belmarsh Prison, where he was married last month to his partner Stella Morris, and spoke only to confirm his name and date of birth. Morris was in the public gallery at Westminster Magistrates Court, where a large crowd of supporters gathered outside, including the former Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn. Corbyn said he hoped the Home Secretary would recognize her huge responsibility to stand up for free speech, journalism, and democracy and release Assange. Quote, "He has done no more than tell the world about military planning, military policies, and the horror of wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I think he deserves to be thanked," he told reporters. There is something quite ironic about the timing here in the sense that the United States, Joe Biden is calling Vladimir Putin a war criminal and saying that what he's doing in Ukraine is a genocide. I think the latter is quite a questionable claim. I don't think it's questionable to call Putin a war criminal. Of course he's a war criminal, engaging in scatter munitions against civilians. Of course he's a war criminal, but for us to be making those claims as the country who's committed more war crimes in the last century than all others combined and doubled is beyond hypocritical. It's rank hypocrisy. For us to then continue these claims against Vladimir Putin and Russia while we are trying to extradite Julian Assange for revealing crimes against humanity is all the more hypocritical. This is why the United States just never has any ground to stand on when it comes to accusations being thrown around about the conduct of other countries and other leaders. I think it's quite sort of terrifying how quickly the mood, the attitude, the tone that is used by Americans to speak about whistleblowers and journalists who reveal these kinds of things changed. I think, Daniel Ellsberg was roundly treated like a hero, right? Bernstein and Woodward roundly treated like heroes. And yet, how was Chelsea Manning treated, right? How is Julian Assange treated? How was Edward Snowden treated? So there seems to have been, reality winner. We could go on and on. There seems to have been quite a pivot in how the American public and the American media treat whistleblowers and journalists who reveal the state's crimes. And I think that is quite concerning and troubling. As many problems as there have been with the media for all of fucking time, at least during the Pentagon Papers leak, there was like an acknowledgement from major publications that their very profession, the integrity of their profession, was at stake when it came to, are we going to allow Nixon to, or Reagan, Nixon, both of them did this, to squash stories. So there was, I mean, the famous, the Washington Post coming out and publishing against Nixon despite his threat to arrest them. There used to be an acknowledgement, even in mainstream circles, that their very profession was at stake when it came to protecting whistleblowers, sources, and journalists. And yet Julian Assange, and I'll make the point again, you guys, he's not even a whistleblower. All that he did was publish information. If what Julian Assange did is illegal, then like the vast majority of journalists need to be fucking arrested. The very integrity of the profession is at stake. And meanwhile, we like to pride ourselves on our quote unquote free press. Look at how the United States press talks about the Russian press. Look at how we talk about Russian propaganda. While we condemn Julian Assange, while we support the extradition attempt of a journalist, it totally betrays the squawking about free press that you hear in United States and Western outlets all over the world. I do want to shout out Jeremy Corbyn, you guys, because even in the United States, like, I don't think I've ever seen, I really mean this, I don't think I've ever seen Bernie Sanders or AOC or Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib or Pramila Jayapal or Ro Khanna, any of them, Mondaire Jones, Cori Bush, Marie Newman. I don't think I've ever seen any of these people stand up for Julian Assange. Please correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. Maybe they have spoken to this issue. But the overall point is, Corbyn shows up at his hearing, at the public viewing of his hearing, in support of Julian Assange. What have we seen from progressives in the United States? I have not seen any sort of support, certainly not amounting to that level. And that's a shame. That is a real shame. I wish that there was more support for Julian Assange in the media. I wish there was more support for Julian Assange. And I mean, even independent, you guys, and I mean me, I'm going to make a point to cover this shit more. I think every independent source should. And I wish that the corporate press would also cover this, because they're, they may just be so accepting of the demise of their profession, so willing to engage in journalistic malpractice that they don't care anymore. That may well just be the case. Or they may have so drank the Kool-Aid on the absurd culture that sort of prevails within the media elite in the United States, that they don't see it that way. But in either case, it's terribly problematic the way that this Assange situation has been handled and covered, and the narratives surrounding Assange, the consequences for the profession of journalism, the consequences for the capacity of whistleblowers to hold the powerful to any sort of account is huge. It can't be overstated. It's gigantic. It's gargantuan. And I wish that this story was getting more coverage. I hope that his lawyers are able to make a sound argument pertaining to those initial claims that they have never had the right to appeal. I hope that there is some way that they can get him out of this extradition. But this is really terrible news, you guys. Just flat out terrible news. Priti Patel is not someone that you can trust to make the right call here. Again, I'm no expert on British politics, but Priti Patel is a conservative war hawk. There's very little reason to believe that Priti Patel is going to support Julian Assange or free press, or in any way, shape, or form stand on the side of transparency for the powerful here. So this is horrifying news. It's not that it was unexpected, but it's very bad news. So we'll keep up on the Julian Assange story. I encourage you all to keep that one front and center, because it has a lot of implications and potential consequences for the journalism profession going forward.